So hello fellow Earthlings, this is Earthling 6455463728, and I wanted to give a story about when I, or my mother, sought the opinion of a professional and it didn't make sense. When I used my head, and you can give me your opinion, it greatly differed with the opinion of this professional, and I went with my head, and it wasn't a huge test per se. Maybe it could have gone exactly the way the professional said, but it didn't, and logic in my head made me come to that conclusion. So I don't really know how to title this one. But anyway, I am Earthling 64 yada yada yada. Who am I? I have an MBA. I have a computer science bachelor's degree. I got a 4-year full tuition scholarship for my undergraduate education. I've traveled many parts of the world except for Africa. I'd like to get there one of those days. I'd like to get to Australia as well. Yeah, that'd be cool. I also had my own newspaper for a while. Used to do all the editing, all the writing, all of the picture taking, layout, everything, as well as I take care of my uncle, who is he's a dementia patient. So I do everything for him: cook, clean, change him, blend up his food, everything. So that's me, or at least part of me that I'm going to say right now. Anyway, with respect to my story, this is how it goes. I just went to change my tire one time. Unfortunately, this happened twice. I can't remember exactly which one of these times is associated with this problem. But they broke off those two bolts that you rest the tire on, and then you tighten the nuts onto it. So they broke off two of those at the car place. One time I had it paid for, and the other time I don't even want them to let me just try and do it some other way. Anyway, I was really worried because two of these bolts on this tire were broken off, and I didn't know exactly when I would be able to, because this was at least on the vehicle that my mother has, it's a more difficult problem than on other cars. So you need a pneumatic press in order to actually be able to replace the bolts. And it wasn't something that I could get done like that same day. So it was going to take a couple of days until I got it. And I was like, how am I supposed to do the things that I need to do? Drive around with just these two bolts out of 4 on one of the wheels of the tire. Well, not the wheels, sorry, but holding on the wheels of the car. So I was really worried that something would happen. The wheel might come off, which it did. Not in this instance, but in another story. A very short diversion. I was driving along the road, and my wheel came off of my tire of the car and rolled down the road in front of me, and of course the car fell boom onto the ground. Do I need to say that I stopped the car? Because the car stopped, and luckily I was able to get everything together and put it back on, and then I had to figure out why it came off. Anyway, so I was worried that the 2 prongs were not going to be enough to keep the things running, that there was going to be a problem. So I think my mother called somebody that she knew who had a lot of experience working with vehicles. And, I guess it amounts to the fact that there are a lot of different things that can go wrong with a vehicle, but we expect anybody who does any kind of vehicle repair to be able to know everything about everything. You wouldn't expect an engineer, even one who designed the cars, to know every single thing about the vehicle. they have their speciality. And whether it's the engine, whether it's perhaps the frame, whether it's the aerodynamics of the vehicle, whether it is the doors even. I think I met some guys from India who had come to the US, and they were studying at a university for basically for auto mechanics, and they were just describing what their specialty was, and you could hear from what they were saying that it had nothing to do with any other part of the car except maybe for the engine cylinder. So it was like, yeah, this is your thing. I can't ask you about the hydraulics of a vehicle, because your thing is the engine compression, the size of the cylinders and the pistons and all that stuff. Maybe not even the pistons, maybe just the size of the engine cylinders. But anyway, my mother asked this friend of the family who had repaired the car a lot what his opinion was as to whether or not the car could be driven like that. And it was his opinion that no, it would be a problem to do that. Try to do it maybe as sparingly as possible. Maybe just take it to the place where it needed to be repaired, and that would be it. Now, it was going to be a big problem for me to just take it to that place alone, because I had other places that I needed to go, and I didn't really want to try to get, have people give me a ride, and that's not really, I don't have like a lot of friends to ask, etc. So, this is one of the things that I did. I would just think about this, think about it, think. I don't know that I just cleared a period of time schedule. I certainly didn't schedule it, but I don't know that I gave it the thought to say, hey, I'm going to think about this until I figure it out. But maybe by incidental happenstance, I did. Anyway, the conclusion that I came to was this vehicle is supposed to be able to carry 5 people under normal circumstances. It's supposed to be able to carry 5 people in addition to stuff in the trunk, right? It's not a transportation, it's not a truck or anything, it's not a heavy duty vehicle, but those 5 passengers, including the driver, and some stuff in the trunk. So if I'm to consider what it can safely carry or deal with in this admittedly awkward situation safely, on half of the prongs or the bolts that should be on the tire, half of it would be 2.5 passengers of quote-unquote average weight, as well as half of whatever could go in the trunk. And that meant that if I was just driving this thing around by myself, with nothing in the trunk, and just me as a driver, it should definitely be able to hold that without any problem whatsoever. And when I thought about that, I was like, yeah, that makes perfect sense. Now, if you disagree, if you disagree, please tell me if you disagree. But that is the conclusion that I came to, and I came to the perspective that the auto mechanic didn't know what he was talking about. And this is not to be rude or to be in any way disparaging. There are many, many aspects of a vehicle. There are people who are professionals in repairing the body of it in terms of, any dents or repainting it. There are people who know about the engine. They're very, very well informed about that. And there might be people who know a lot about the wheels. And this mechanic, maybe in addition to not having a whole lot of experience with respect to the wheels of the car, maybe he just didn't think it through. That the car is rated to carry however many 100 pounds of weight. So it should easily be able to carry a driver alone. And maybe just, came up with his opinion that, hey, this is what I think. And I think his opinion was wrong. So, but, when I came to that conclusion, and I came to other conclusions, I realized that there is the Dunning-Kruger effect, where somebody who knows a little about a topic feels confident about their position based on just, very rudimentary understanding of the situation. And they feel that they can speak with as much confidence as somebody with a lot of experience in a particular field or area. But there is also just simple logic that can be defined and understood, taking a step-by-step analysis of a situation. And I think that that's what I did, and I think that I reached the right conclusion. But it also shook my faith in just taking anybody's opinion, because that's an opinion. It's not his professional capacity to come to that conclusion. Anyway, that's my thoughts, and that's my story for today. So feel free to comment, like or unlike, share, subscribe, or any of the things that you would want somebody to do if this was something that you'd created. Peace.